Ben for Snows here, folks. Today, taking you for a walkthrough of this Zempire Pro TL-V2 air pole family camping tent.
Hit it.
This large family camping tent features 3 rooms, a multi-configuration sleeping compartment, 2 side access doors, and an air pole system that make it super durable even in the worst of weather. Before we dive into this product, there is loads more content like this on our YouTube channel, so make sure you like and subscribe and you'll get notified of all of our latest content. Now let's jump in. This air tent is a real example of Zempire's expertise in the area of air pole tents. This is an awesome family camping tent that is super easy to set up. Check out our setup and pack down video on that. But it can be set up by just one person, yet you get all this space, which we'll walk you through shortly. Now it does weighs about 34 kilos, so it is a family camping tent. So it's not light, but this entire tent behind me packs up inside this bag here. It measures about 80 to 85 centimeters. By about 50 centimeters in diameter, and this is an oversized bag, so it is easy to get the tent back inside of here afterwards. Now, it inflates just with one single inflation port, and it's got multiple deflation ports for pack down, really easy. You've got to check out the setup pack down video on that, but we'll talk about all the features here today. So this is a 210 denier ripstop polyester material with an 8,000 millimeter waterhead rating, so it's really waterproof and going to keep you dry in just about any condition. There's a combination of other fabrics. If we move across from there, you can see there is a PVC here that's got an internally adjustable panel inside, privacy panel, so that you can manage the light and privacy inside. And there are also mesh panels. If you have a look at the bottom half of this here, there's a mesh panel here. Before we go any further around the outside of the tent, I just want to talk about the poles. Now, these poles are made up of a TPU bladder. If you scooch right down to the bottom here, you can see there's a 600 denier covering over the top of the TPU pole here. There's a TPU bladder inside. These are all connected. It's all inflated through one inflation port, and they're actually isolation ports throughout the tent. So even in the instance of a very slim chance that you could have an issue with any section of these poles, you can isolate the section that you've got an issue with. Now, these poles are actually tested to a pressure well within excess of what you can inflate these to with the pump that comes with the tent. So you need about 7 to 9 PSI for this tent to be as it is set up here now. They test them to about 35 PSI, which is what a car tire will take. And these offer significant benefits over steel or alloy frames in that if this is in a really windy situation, these poles will just collapse down. I'm having to put a bit of effort into making that go down there, but I'm putting my whole body weight onto that and they just pop back into place. So where if I did that with a steel pole, it'd be bent and I'd have to repair the tent. These have just bounced back into place. So really durable, really forgiving. And on top of that, just really easy to set up and pack away. So lots of benefits to air poles. Taking a tour around the outside of the tent. One step back in this section here, we've got another mesh panel. There's PVC panels here. I forgot to mention on the front, there are skylights in the top here and on the front section there, all internally adjustable. That goes down to another PVC panel and then another mesh panel here. So you've got lots of options for ventilation and privacy. All of these features are mirrored on the other side of the tent. Next step along, we've got a door, and the only feature that's not mirrored on the other side of the tent is this little awning over the top here. So if you set this up so that this is on the opposite side to which the wind is coming, it means any rain or anything isn't going to drip down into the door. It's going to come out here and drip clear of the door. And this here is an access point that is mirrored on the other side. Now there's zips at both ends of this door. If you just want to use it for ventilation, you can unzip the top section here and just allow ventilation through the top. If you want to open this completely, then come down to the bottom of the door down here and zip from the bottom up all the way. Good to note too that this is actually, Zempire have gone to the length of putting a little PVC strip in here which sits over the top of the zip just to give it a little bit of extra weather protection. We zip that all the way, roll this back, and I'll open it up now so we've got lots of light inside for later. We've now got a mesh doorway here which we can also open. The zipper is down the bottom here. So that's got a bit of a step over the zip there, but we've got an access point into the tent. We'll roll this back and keep moving on to the next section of the tent. And this portion where the dark panels are is actually the side of where the bedroom is. So inside of this section here is another pod to kind of give it that dual skin kind of nature. Not much to see, but we do have a vent here that we haven't pegged out, so that will give low level ventilation into or in around the sleeping area of the tent. Now there are along the sides of these tents, these ports here, these make more sense in our setup and pack down video. This is the quick release deflation valves that allows you to deflate the tent really quickly to make pack up really easy. You'll also see these inside the tent, which are isolation valves that if you do happen to have, in the very slight chance you happen to have an issue with any of these poles, you can isolate sections of the frame. To the rear of the tent, a couple of vents here that we haven't set up today as well, but if we peg that out, we've got ventilation here. We do have a large window here that if we can either leave it zipped closed like this for full storm protection, we'll zip it open and roll it up to the top here. There are toggles up underneath here, so we can secure this flap up here, and that gives us a nice big ventilation panel here. Above that, there is also a vent at the very top, a bit hard to see on the camera, but there's a mesh panel right up underneath here. So this protects it, that allows ventilation up underneath. And then on the other side of this, another one of those vents there. This side we've got, same as the other side, in that there's a low level vent down here next to the bedroom compartment. We've got another one of those doorways here, exactly the same except for not having the little weather protected awning over the top. That's the only difference on this side here. We do have this panel here, same as the other side. I did not mention on the other side the multiple access points that we've got for electrical cords here, but you'll find these all over the tent so that you can get power inside the tent in all sorts of spots. In the front section, we've got another one of the internally adjustable panels with the PVC and the mesh, so you can adjust light and ventilation through there. Good to note that these are also actually waterproof. This is designed as such, even though the mesh is on the outside. This strip here is waterproof, so any water that goes in here is going to run away. It's not going to get inside the tent. And back to the front of the tent here, starting with this awning that we've got now. This is 360 centimeters from edge to edge here, slopes in a little bit, about 135 centimeters from the front of the inner tent here to the outer edge here. This strap here is just to secure the air poles on the sides to stop it from spreading out. And height-wise, it's about 215 centimeters at the peak here. I'm 185 centimeters, so I can walk straight in and out here, even with a hat on, and not catch my head on anything. While I got my hand up here, there is a little lantern attachment points up here, so you can hang a lantern. And then while we're up here too, these ports here that you can see, which feature here, another one here, these are all the isolation ports that you can use in the off chance that you do have an issue with any of the pole sections. If you get something happens up here, you can isolate this section from the next so your entire tent doesn't collapse down. You're probably not going to need those though. On the sides of the awning here, we've got those internally adjustable windows that I referred to. So these can be used in multiple ways. Firstly, zip partway down to allow lighting just through the skylight. Zip one side a little further down to work with, well, it's actually gusseted here. So you've got a little attachment point here to allow you to open this up, and it allows a bit more ventilation through the tent. Do that on both sides, and that holds it up nice and firm, so you've got good ventilation down through there still, just opening that up a little bit, but you've still got privacy. The only thing you can see through is this section up here. If you want to open it up completely, undo those toggles and undo both of these zips. You've got the gusset zip and the outer zip. Undo both of those and zip it all the way down. You can do it part way if you like. If you want to cut up the ventilation, just leave it on an angle. If you want to allow ventilation, undo it all the way to the base. Just roll it up and just sort of tuck it in on itself at the base there, and it stays in and out the way. Now this window is mirrored on the other side of the awning here. And further to this awning, we can actually extend this or enclose this to make it the third room. If you get a ground sheet or a footprint for the tent, it goes right underneath the back of the tent and comes right out and extends past the front of the tent here, and you can add an awning wall onto here. It zips onto this yellow zipper that features up under here, and that doesn't just sit flat, it actually angles out to extend this space, and further to that wall then becomes another awning out in front of your tent. So you can add accessories to this tent to extend it even further or extend your living space. You can also get a roof cover, which is going to help with a bit of insulation and also protect it from UV and bird droppings. And we've got another video on it, but you can actually use joiners that go on the front of this to join this to a shelter, like an aero-based shelter, so you can extend your Zempire air tent, create a whole city of air tents if you like. Moving to the next room in the tent here, this section here is once again 360 across this way and 235 deep across this way. And this is kind of like the living space, I suppose. It does have a door, a double door, and these fabrics are all the same fabrics that are external, 210 denier waterproof fabrics. So if you've got this done up and you are getting rain coming in here, this is still going to offer you water protection. So this is a large door that zips right open, and you can tuck it away in a pocket in behind here, or if you are going to close it up, you can either leave it closed up like this so that it's fully protected to hold the heat in and keep the wind out, or from the inside, if I can just find it, you can undo it to just use it as a mesh panel if you like. And this is where these tents from Zempire really come into play. They're loaded with lots of little features, and one of them is this here. Now what this actually allows us to do is use half of this door as mesh and half of it enclosed. So if I unzip part of this and roll this inner section back towards the middle here, there's a toggle here that I can push through. There's that little eyelet there. I'll push the toggle through there. That secures that center section. There's another one further down here as well. I can secure that as well. And I'm just going to reach across and zip the bottom closed. So we've now created, I'll zip this closed, mesh panel on this side, solid panel on the other. So just one of the versatile options in how you can set this up, or if you want to roll this back, you can just secure the mesh panel there too and enclose that, so you've just got this door. So that's just the first door in the whole series of features that exist in this tent here. Stepping a little further back into what I guess is the enclosed or weather protected living space. You've got enough room for a table. You can have a family of 4 or 6 have dinner in here, but starting at the top, another lantern hanging point here. And if we just go down from each side there, you've got these little Velcro tabs that feature right down to the base of the tent, or halfway down the wall here anyway. So you can secure a cord, and then that lines up with a little power access point on the base here, so you can get a wire inside the tent. Heaps of height inside the tent here, 215 centimeters once again in the middle here. It's probably a good time to point out these poles here, which is an addition that Zempire have made to the version 2 of these tents. And this gives it almost a freestanding ability, these poles here. So we've got hoop poles coming this way and then these separating it. So really awesome tent structure inside these pro tents from Zempire. Looking at the side of the tent, we've got internally adjustable privacy screen here, and the door here. This is the door that's got the little weather protected awning on it, but its functions are the same as what we see on the other side here. So starting with the door, we can open this up from the inside here. That's the mesh panel. And then if we reach down outside, we can unzip the outer panel as well. So we've got an access point to get in and out of the tent from here. And forward of that, we've got the internally adjustable privacy screen and window. Functions much the same as the front one in that we can zip it partway open just to allow light in through the top. If you keep zipping it further down, you have those gussets once again, and ports that you can, or little points that you can secure it to out here, just to pull it out to allow that ventilation or breeze come through the tent. If you want to zip it further down, once again, zip it to this point. If you keep it above the mesh, so this is PVC, this is mesh. If you keep it above the mesh there, you're cutting out most of the breeze, but still allowing light through. Or if you want to allow ventilation, zip all the zips right open, all the way to the bottom there. Roll this up neatly, which I'm not going to do right now because I'm trying to rush through it to show you how it all works. There's a bit of a pocket here that you can just tuck that into. And you've got almost floor to ceiling level ventilation. Well, not really floor to ceiling, I suppose. It finishes here, but you've got floor to ceiling light coming in through that side there, or both sides of the tent. So quite a versatile space in the middle of this tent here. You could sleep in here if you like, but it's really ideal to set up a bit of a family lounge, and a great place to hunker down if it does get wet. Now, moving further on, to this point, the entire tent has been single skin. So this, what we see here, is the outer of the tent. But this sleeping section is kind of a pod attached inside the tent here. So it's got its own walls and its own floor even, but you don't have to remove it. It just packs up and sets up and packs down, with the tent as it is. It's just attached with toggles around the side here. It just stays there, and it's this darker fabric, so it creates a bit of a darker sleeping area at the rear here. Now we've got multiple sort of options with this door. You can see there's lots of zips right here. There's 3 zips there, and that's because we've got multiple access points. So the total width here was 360 centimeters for the width of the tent, but you take a little bit off because this comes in from the sides, and it's 240 centimeters in depth at the base, but this mat here is about 190. I'll show you the space in there in a minute. I want to show you the doors first. So I've got these dividers here. Now these are removable. There's 2 dividers, and that's creating a single sleep space here, which is quite narrow. Probably could also be used as a storage cupboard if you like. But if you did want to divide it up and one person's happy to sleep in a space like that, then you've got that space there. That's got its own double door here, so you can open this up. Well, it's not entirely a double door. It's got a mesh panel at the top. So the mesh comes to here, you can zip that up and allow ventilation through. So that's got its own door and dividers in here, and these dividers are all removable too. To the right of that, or to my right of that, if we undo this section here, we've got a space for 2 mats. You probably fit 2 mats in there. I'll slide the mat in here now. This is just a single 60 centimeter wide mat. I'll pop that in there. You can see you'll fit 2 of those snugly in there. They're probably going to fit fairly tightly, but you could fit 2 people in the side, or it's enough room for 1 person plus luggage in there. On this side here, if we have a look just inside, you can see we've got storage pockets, 1, 2, 3, 4 storage pockets there. And this space in here has got its own floor, which gives a little bit of extra insulation from the ground. It's also a little bit nicer to step on than this floor here, which is 180 GSM polyethylene floor, really durable tarp type material. A little bit of a colder feel than this material here. These doors do have their own little stuff pockets in here. Well, this is actually for the main door, which I'll show you shortly. You can unzip this whole thing and stuff it in there to keep it out of the way. These individual doors have little tabs on the sides here to secure them if you roll them back and keep them out of the way. So you've got all these toggles here to secure the door. So we've essentially got space there for 3 people so far. I've got a stretcher in there, you can fit 2 mats in there. And then on this side here, you've got the same thing once again. So if we open this up, in this room we've got the same as the far side with the 4 little storage pockets on the side there to keep yourself organized. And if you want to know sort of rough dimensions for each section, it's about 130 in width for each side, a little bit over, and a little bit over 60 centimeters for this center space here. And in terms of depth, it's about 240 at the base, but this stretcher here is 190 long, and it's just touching the end of the pod there because that sort of just hangs inside the outer tent to help you touching the outer tent that might get condensation. So 190 length stretcher on the base. You're going to get a longer mat because it tapers back a little bit. Now I want to show you, before I talk about overall height, I'm going to zip these up and show you that you can actually, rather than use this as 3 different rooms, if I zip this up, there's one zip that runs right around the base of the tent. Now to use the main door, if we want to use the pocket that I showed you before where to stuff it in, we need to consider how we use these 3 zips here, because we can use this to zip halfway along and there's sort of anchor point here. So if we only want to unzip to this point here and maintain the divider behind this section, we can just use this zip and use a room for 2 and a room for 3. I'm actually going to remove the entire door, which means I'm going to push all 3 zips all the way around the door, around to near the pocket. So I've stopped here. We've got our little storage pocket in here. I'm just going to come back up and I'm going to remove the attachment to the internal dividers here. So they're just toggles. I'll unattach these as 3 on each, I believe. 1, 2, and 3 down the bottom here. And then once we're at the bottom, we're going to come back to the zip that we've got here. And we want to zip this back this way. You can see there's this little toggle here to secure it. So unclip that, push the zip back to where this zip is, and then we can grab this entire door and stuff it in the storage pocket here. And it's even got its own little toggle so that you can secure it into that pocket if you like. And that's now opened up this center room. So if we want, we could just leave it open if we like, if we didn't want it zipped up to sleep in. We do still have these dividers here, but furthermore, we can remove these as well. So we've got zippers along the bottom here and along the top. If I undo those, I'll step in and do that now. Just undo this toggle here as well. They fold to the back here. We can now create, as we've done it at the moment, we've created 3 and 2. If we actually did 3 on that side, it would work better with that little stud at the bottom of there and creating this door, how that can open up in a 3 and a 2 sort of configuration. This can roll back here. We've got toggles at the rear of the tent here to secure that. So we've created 2 spaces, or open that one up as well and create 1 big sleeping space if you like. So multiple configurations for the sleeping area of the tent at the rear here. A couple of other things I'll show you just at the top here. You'll notice little access points here for power cords and 2 lantern hanging points inside here. So you can have a lantern in each room if you like. So 2 access points, actually there's another access point here too. That is a walkthrough of this awesome Zempire Pro TL V2 air pole tent. I reckon this is an awesome family camping tent. Sets up super easy. Check out our other video on that. If you've got a 12-volt pump, you can just plug it in, let the pump do the work for you while you have a drink. Really easy to set up and chock-a-block full of features. Check these out online at snowies.com.au.